Welcome to Lunch with Lori, a show that's all about filling your lunch break with a burst of empowerment and life-transforming insights. It's time to take a bite of inspiration with our host, Lori Riston.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to this first episode of Lunch with Lori. I'm your host, Lori, and I am just really glad you could join me today. Now, you know, they say that a great meal is more than just feeding your body. It's about feeding your soul, right? And here on Lunch with Lori, I really take that seriously. And even though it's lunchtime, I am not going to be making you any food. I'm not here to feed your stomach. I am here to feed your minds and really ignite your spirit. In each episode, I'm going to be sharing with you some wisdom and some strategies and insights to really help you not just survive, but thrive. And that's in life and business because we have to be successful in both. And I believe that every bite we take, every conversation we have is really just an opportunity for us to learn and grow together. So I want you to grab your favorite lunch, maybe your favorite drink. I've got an A&W root beer here today. I've also have my mild Slim Jim because I'm on the Atkins diet. Whatever it is, let's get started because I really do have a lot to share with you today. Well, I want to introduce who I am. Again, this is the first episode of Lunch with Lori, so you may not even know who I am. I'm Lori Riston. I'm the CEO of Valor Excel, and we're a nonprofit that provides coaching and training to help people reach their personal and professional goals. And I want to say up front that I am not an expert at doing YouTube videos. I'm just going to kind of speak from my heart today. I'm probably going to make mistakes. I'm definitely going to be reading from my papers because I'm not eloquent in speech for the most part. I do much better when I have some notes to keep me on task. But today I'm going to be sharing with you some information on a topic called Dare to Dream. And it's really about using goal setting as a tool for empowerment. So many of us get busy in our lives that really listening to an episode like this is probably one of the last things we want to do, right? But if you stay to the end, I promise you it can be life-changing. And I don't just say that flippantly because it was life-changing for me. You know, it wasn't until I understood some of the things I'm going to be sharing with you today that my life really began to change. And I knew I couldn't do it on my own, so I had to start putting these principles into action so that I could be really changed from the inside out. And one of the principles that I learned throughout this journey is that nothing is impossible. You know, I say that not because it's cliche, but we all have a lot of potential on the inside of us, so much so that we can really accomplish anything that we set our mind to. And from there, I learned that spending some time thinking about what we want our life to look like can be really, really beneficial. And it's really one of the keys to living your best life. And I would venture to say not just your best life, but the most amazing life possible, right? That's what we all want to live, I'm sure. And so in my line of work, I'm out there asking people all the time, if nothing were impossible, where would you like to go? Who would you like to become? Or what would you like to achieve? And I always get just blank look, like a deer in the headlights. People just can't answer that. It's really hard. So before we get too far into all this, I think what I'm going to ask you to do next will help solidify this as we go along. So what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes, okay? Just humor me for a minute. Close your eyes, and I want you to think about what you wanted to be when you grew up as a child. When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? Now think about that for a few minutes. Keep your eyes closed. Get that vision. You know, I don't think it's going to take you very long, but I want to give you just a couple more seconds. Get that vision in your mind. Now think about that. Now I'm going to share with you what my vision was. When I was young, I had one dream. And that was to be a wife and mother. And not that there's anything wrong with that. No, there's not. Being a wife and mother is one of the greatest things we could ever be in life, right? But I didn't think much beyond that. I really didn't. And that's because my life was full of chaos, full of dysfunction. I grew up in a family that had a lot of drama. And I didn't have a lot of time to think about those things. I was just trying to get through each day. And so thinking about, being a teacher or a ballet dancer or the next great scientist or doctor who could cure cancer was really out of my realm. Now, next, I want you to close your eyes again. And I want you to think about where you are exactly right now in your life. Okay? So close your eyes again. Please do that for me. Give yourself just a few minutes in order to contemplate that in your mind. We're not going to spend a ton of time, but think, what are you doing now? Who are you right now? Now, when I first did this exercise, I thought about myself and then I drew it because we were actually writing this down and drawing it out. But I thought of myself as sitting behind this desk with a bunch of paperwork piled up, being responsible for a lot of stuff because, as I said, I'm the CEO of an organization and I have a lot on my plate. I was responsible for a lot of administrative and fiscal challenges. And in this picture in my mind, I just had this frown on my face. I was tired. I was tired of doing it, quite frankly. I didn't want to do it anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel very blessed to work at Valor and get to do all the things that I want to do. But I was really keeping up with the demands of the mission so much that I kind of started losing myself in the process. And I grew discouraged. I really did. I felt like giving up. So I needed to take some time to really reevaluate, what my priorities were, what I really wanted to be doing with the rest of my life. And it took me about 4 months to really think that through. I began to take time just sitting and thinking, what do I want to achieve? And I came to realize really where my passion lies. Now, whether it's writing books or creating content or doing workshops or, providing a keynote speech, I began to realize that is what I love doing. That's where my passion is. And so I had to start putting a plan into place in order to get there. And that's what I want for you as well. I want you to start imagining the future that you want and then find that passion so that you can reignite what you want to do in life. And that may be tough for some of you, like I said earlier, but here's the but, it can be done. So if I were to ask you one important question, like I said at the beginning, where would you like to go? What would you like to achieve? Or who would you like to become? And regardless of those answers, today, we're going to start putting some things into practice for you. Now, have you ever heard of the law of attraction? Maybe you have, but the law of attraction is simply this. What you think about, you bring about. Now, let me say that again. What you think about, you bring about. That means that once you see something, you talk about it, you dream about it, and for some of us, we pray about it, right? And then it becomes so alive on the inside of us that we're compelled to see it come to pass, right? And again, since what you think about, you bring about, if you can change what you're thinking, or if you can change what you're seeing, you can change your life. Now, when you really grasp onto this, your life is going to radically change. It really is. And I've seen it happen a lot of times, especially in my own life. And I'll share it a little bit more with you about that later on. But what I would like to tell you now is that every day we need to see the vision that lies within our heart. We really do. And that's important because you are never going to leave where you are right now until you can see where you want to be. Okay? And again, that's difficult for some of us. You have to see something before you can have it. Now, where do you see that? Well, if I asked you that, there'd be a lot of different answers. I'll just cut to the chase. You see it in your mind, right? And it can come in through various senses. We have 5 senses, right? We have the sight, smell, sound, taste, and touch, right? And those senses actually allow information to come on the inside of us. And as it comes into our mind. Now, I like to follow a neuroscientist. Her name is Dr. Caroline Leaf. She actually states that once that information comes in, there's this process that I cannot even begin to explain to you. I do understand it, but I can't explain it to you, that it's like trees growing. It's like limbs of a tree. Once it comes in, it starts growing, okay? So what you believe comes into your heart, right? And you either have two options. You can either believe it or take it in faith, or you can reject it and have fear about it. And from there, what you believe takes fruit in your heart. It comes down through your heart through a series of chemical processes that, again, I'm not nearly equipped to explain to you. But it definitely takes root into your heart. And from there, what is in your heart comes out through your actions. That means that what you surround yourself with and what you see actually becomes real to you. It becomes so real to you that you actually start moving towards it. Okay. Now, you need to keep images of what you want to achieve or who you want to be or what you want to become before you every day so that you can get that on the inside of you. Now, we each have a different vision, right? What I see is going to be different from what you see. Some of us actually are nearsighted in life, right? Some of us are farsighted. We can't see what's right in front of us, literally and figuratively, and we can't see what's down the road. And if that describes you, then I really encourage you to get a vision adjustment. What I mean by that is you've got to start looking through the eyes of confidence and belief. You can't live in fear. You can't reject some of these big things that come into your mind from time to time. You have to embrace it. You see, it doesn't matter if it's big dreams or little dreams. It doesn't matter. Just keep them before your eyes. Surround yourself with what can be, not just what currently is. Even something simple. Whatever the dream is in your heart, get a vision of it, get an image of it, and keep it before your eyes. Now, I want you to think about it this way. Kids have big imaginations, right? Heck, sometimes they put on a cape and they jump off furniture and they think they can fly. I even know someone when they were little, they were twins, they thought they could fly, they jumped out of a window. I think one of them broke their legs, the other one just got the wind knocked out of them, but that's the kind of imagination we need. Now, I don't want anyone jumping out of windows, right? But what I do want is that belief to that extreme, that you believe it with such intensity that you're willing to help make it come to pass. Well, we have to have that same childlike faith. Just believe if you can dream it, you can do it. So now really is the time to get a vision for your life. And I want you to write it down and I want you to start looking at it. And if you don't know what that is yet, give yourself permission to dream about it. Take some time to think. And I mean really think about what you want your life to look like. Then I want you to write those visions and dreams down. Because if you can do that, if you can write it down, you increase your chances of successfully reaching those goals or those dreams by at least 75%. And to me, that's staggering. So why not? Now, the first thing you need to do to write down your goals on paper is it just takes some time, like I said early on, is to start thinking about it. And if you do it, if you start writing it down and putting it down on paper, I think it's really going to save you some time and money. Now, I say that from experience as well. In my early career in management, I was a sales representative for Cellular One back in the early 90s. And I have some problems with my eyes recently. Since I've had COVID, I have these intense dry eyes. So you might see me occasionally rubbing them. Don't get alarmed. I'm not weird. I just have some dry eyes. Plus, I'm getting older, so you know how that goes too. But anyway, I had this boss that really wanted us to succeed. And she took the time to develop us into successful salespeople. And it was during one of these sales meetings that she taught us about goal setting and about how getting from point A to point B is really just unrealistic. And what she said then has really stuck with me all these years. She said, so many of us want to get from point A to point B in a hurry, and that's just so unrealistic. If we don't have a plan, we might get going in the right direction, but then life throws us a curveball, and we might go clear up here somewhere. You can't see that, but we're up here somewhere. And we keep trying to go again, but guess what? Life throws us another curveball. We come down here, And then we keep going again, and life throws us another one, and we go up and up and up and up, and we just never go. We never get there. We can spend valuable years because we only have a finite amount of time. We don't want to waste it. Now, with a plan, however, if we start going towards B, we get off a little bit, the plan brings us back. We can go a little further, we get off the course, the plan brings us right back, and so on and so on and so on until we get there. And again, that saves us valuable time. Now, what's true is that goal setting can take some time to complete. It really can. So realistically, it could not only take days, it could take months. I know it did for me. But that will be determined by how much time you're willing to put into it. So if you're not going to put much effort into it, it's only going to take you a little bit of time. But again, little effort, little outcome, right? One important thing I want to mention before you start, though, is that you're, in specifically in regards to financial goals, right? Your financial worth is never going to rise above your self-worth. Now, I'm going to say that again, too. Your financial worth is never going to rise above your self-worth. So if you have some big financial goals for yourself, you need to spend a little bit of time setting some attitude goals or some other types of goals. And excuse me, that's my little puppy. She came out here to join me and she's barking. But anyway, if you struggle in that area, like I said, please, please, please eliminate that self-talk, that negative self-talk, and spend some time working on your self-esteem and your relationships. Okay, now that I've said that, as you begin to write down your goals, I want you to be very specific. What I'd like you to do is ask yourself questions like this. What do I want to achieve, and when do I want to achieve it, right? I also want you to cover the basics of who, what, where, when, and why. And I want you to be very, very, very specific, as I said. Here's an example. And again, this is not a professional goal. And this may not be a life goal for everybody, but for some it could be. This is one that I had in the past, and I'm just going to read it to you. But it's, I want to lose 15 pounds in 6 months, okay? I got a little sedentary. I put on a little bit of weight, and I wanted to be healthy because I got a lot to do. But here's what I put. I want to lose 15 pounds in 6 months. I will walk 1 to 2 miles each day on the treadmill on a 4.5 incline at a 2.6 speed. And I'm going to eat 6 small meals a day as outlined in my healthy eating journal. And I'm going to drink 64 ounces of water each day, and so on and so on. Now, as you can see, that is very detailed. That is very detailed. So whatever your goals are, be that specific. Be that specific and more, okay? Now, once you get all those goals written down, you're going to then need to consider some of the action steps that you're going to need to take in order to reach them. So you're going to need to think about each step, like I said, from A to B, and write those down. Don't overlook anything. I mean, think of any obstacle that you could ever face and how you'll overcome it. Even small steps that you need to take are important. So I encourage you to think about each one. Now, again, I'm not going to be able to help you with this process during a YouTube video. I'm not. But if you follow my advice, congratulations, because you're doing something that so many people are unwilling to do. For whatever reason, they just don't want to do it. Now, some get started, but then they get distracted and they don't finish. But if you do finish, it's well worth the effort. And I want to tell you something I find very beneficial. If you start writing down your goals and you're working on them, I would keep another piece of paper right beside me. And that way, as you're working on those goals, if something pops into your mind about something you need to do that day or something you need to remember, write it down. Write it down so you don't forget it, because I guarantee you it's either going to mess with writing your goals down or your goal setting is going to mess with what you have to do. So just keep that nearby. And then when you're done, and again, you don't have to work on this 8 hours in one day. Just take some time. But as you're doing it, if you think of something you need to do, write it down so you don't get off course. Now, I want to say this too. Once you get those goals written down, that's just really the first step. Okay? It's a big step. Yeah, it's a really big step. But the second step is keeping them before your eyes and then speaking them out loud every day. Because I learned this from my husband's boss when he did a workshop for me years ago. Your brain believes what it hears. It's simple. Your brain actually believes what it hears. And then whatever it believes, again, comes down through this chemical process into your heart, and then you start walking out those beliefs. Okay? So speak about your dreams every day. Look at them every day. And if you don't do it, then everything that you did in your goal setting phase is going to be in vain. It's going to be a waste of time. And ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, I love that saying. But anyway, you have to keep those images before your eyes because you have to believe that you can achieve it, and seeing it will help you. That's what gives you the power, my friends. Seeing it and believing it. Now, let me tell you how this worked in my own life. Again, this is where I'm going to share some of my personal story with you. I hope it's beneficial to you. But back in 1991, I was actually a single mom with 3 kids. And I was working 3 jobs just to make ends meet. I was a realtor by day, and I worked at several different restaurants in the evenings and on the weekends when I didn't have my kid. Needless to say, I was pretty stressed out, right? I was really a really busy person. And in that sales job that I had as a real estate agent, again, I had a boss that really wanted to develop us for success. And I went to this training up in Hershey, Pennsylvania called Sweat Hogs. Actually, it was called the Floyd Wickman School of Sweat Hogs. And it was during this time that I was introduced to goal setting and vision casting. And one of the exercises that he had us do was to really set some goals for ourselves and put them before our eyes. So what I did when I went back is, since we didn't have computers, I couldn't just go online and look for a car that I wanted, right? I had to cut it out of a magazine. So what I did is I took a picture out of a magazine, it was a gray Grand Am. And I wanted a Grand Am. And I also wrote, I want one job by 1992. And I put that piece of paper in a protective sleeve. And since it had a hole punch at the top, I took my key ring and I put my key ring in it. And so every day I had to carry it. I mean, I had to drive to work, I had to drive home, I had to drive to pick up my kids. And, so I was seeing this every day, every single day. And I would say I would have one job by 1992 and I would get a Grand Am. Now that was in March. In November of that year, well, what you don't know about me is I have a little bit of a lead foot. I admit it. And I also drive a little too fast for road conditions sometimes. Take my word on that. And I was driving down a hill in, I guess, like some freezing rain or snow. And unfortunately, I slid into a parked car. Now, luckily, no one was hurt, but my car was pretty damaged. And I realized, I had an old Pinto. Who wants to drive a Pinto when you're a single woman? Not me. So I was like, look, it's totaled. I can't do anything. I made a phone call to someone I knew and I said, look, I need a new car. And they said, well, what do you want? I said, I don't care. Just get me something that I can afford. And I didn't have much. But about 2 hours later, this person called me back and they said, we found you something. I was like, great, what is it? And they said, it's a Grand Am. I said, oh my goodness, what color is it? They said, it's gray. I couldn't believe it. But then about a month later, in December of that same year, 1991, I got a phone call from a lady that wanted to hire me several years earlier. And I had said no because I was too fearful. And she said, Lori, I found a better job for you. And this one you're not going to say no to. So guess what? I took the job. And guess when I started? You got it. January 1992. To say I was shocked is kind of an understatement. I began to realize that vision casting and goal setting really does work. This really does work. It also made me realize that we can't just use our words to describe our situations. We have to use our words to change our situations, right? We can't just complain and say, woe is me, and be a Debbie Downer or a Doug Downer. If you're a man, I hope you're watching this. Doug Downer, right? We just have to speak life. We have to speak life and we have to dream big. My encouragement is for you to do the same. Speak life. Dream big, as big as you can, and then realize that life is truly about taking risks. Living that rich, full, abundant life is not taking the easy street, my friends. It's not. In fact, the easy street leads to a dead end. It really does. And we have to stop learning playing it safe. We have to stop playing it safe. I'll get that right. Life is meant to be an adventure. It really is. It's meant to be lived fearlessly. What separates the ordinary folks from the achievers in life is taking risks. When you don't push yourself to achieve the goals and the dreams and the desires that you have within your heart, you don't get to experience the rich, abundant life that so many of us desire. Now, I'm guilty as anyone wanting that easy life, but I have learned to let go of that way of thinking, because I tell you, and so can you, we can achieve anything we set our minds to. Now, I want to create these amazing endeavors that really help people thrive. And the funny thing about it is that sometimes when you take these risks, they're going to pan out, and sometimes they're not going to. But that's okay. Even problems can be some of our greatest blessings, because they not only make us stronger, but they develop the character that we need in order to sustain what we build or what we developed and be able to keep it once we get there. And one thing is true. We are more than capable of taking those risks and chasing those dreams. There is no perfect time to start, okay? If you wait till the perfect time, you're probably going to die before you do that. And if you look at your circumstances, you're probably never going to want to get out of your comfort zone. Quit looking at your circumstances and look towards your dreams. Don't look at what's going on. Keep your eyes straight ahead. Even if you try to do your best and you fail, you're already a success. You are. Don't beat yourself up. Just get up. Keep trying. Unfortunately, so many people, like I said, they don't want to do that because they are so comfortable in that little comfort zone that they've got going on. And we're afraid of change. A lot of us are afraid of change. Yes, it is scary. Yes, it's uncomfortable, right? It is. But we need to be stretched in order to grow. We really do. And we can't grow unless we have problems in life, like I just said. Yeah, it's going to be frightening, but you got to do it anyway. Or sometimes I say, just hold your nose and jump in, right? And believe me, if I can do it, me, no college education, came from a really screwed up background, made tons of mistakes in life. If I can do it, so can you. So as you begin to dare to dream, my hope is that each one of you would be able to accomplish astounding things in life. And if you have any questions or need additional help, I'm here. Not only am I here, but the staff at Valor Excel is here to help you. And you can reach us through our email at info@valorexcel.com. We'd be happy to assist you in any way we can. You can also check out our website at www.valorexcel.com and see all the services that we offer that may be of benefit to you. And one thing I do want to recommend to you is if you're getting serious about setting goals, I've actually written a book called You Were Made to Thrive. And in that book, or to accompany that book, I should say, is the You Were Made to Thrive workbook. And that really can help you set a plan for success. Now, you can find that on Amazon if you type in Lori Riston or You Were Made to Thrive workbook. But you can find the workbook also on my author page, which is www.amazon.com/author/Lori-Riston. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. But if you found value in our time together, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And make sure you come back next time for Lunch with Lori. It's not a weekly episode. It's probably more like a monthly episode. But we're going to feast on some wisdom and success. Bye, friends.